Hello everyone. Today I was going to show you guys what I drafted, or, well, the decks I built for the sealed Dungeons and Dragons set that came out recently. Uh, so I did one by myself and one with my brother. So I have one of my brother's decks here, and then I'll just show you the cards we'd put in, and then my opinion on how the deck ran and like what cards were good and then what cards just didn't do anything. So I did get the rare mythic dragon in the set. It was pretty good. I mean, being able to cast it from the graveyard was pretty good. Being able to cast it with flash was great because you can flash it in for 4 mana and then equipped. And a lot of times I would have 5 mana worth of equipped costs to do it. So it worked out pretty fine. It was really great in the set. Um, Loyal Warhound. Oh, this was my Mardu deck. So it was red, blue, and black. Or red, white, and black. And then this is a Loyal Warhound. Let's see if we can get a focus on that. I'll put it a little closer. Oop, there we go. So a 3/1 Vigilance for 2 mana is always good, and if you're on the if you're going second and you miss a land drop, or you're going first, and you miss a land drop or whatever, this is pretty good. So I always like that. Uh, the Gargoyle for the dungeoning was actually really good. Always a good card to have. A 3 mana 0/4 body that ventures into the dungeon's always good. It can help you complete dungeons. And then a 3/4 for 3 mana when you complete the dungeon, or you already have a dungeon completed, is also pretty good. I don't know why I'm always out of breath. I gotta breathe. I just know my mic is too sensitive now, and I just hear myself breathe. It's kind of weird. This guy was okay. A lot of times he just got removed too fast, but at the same time, if I'm playing a card and it has to be removed, it's always a good sign of the card itself. Giving +2/+0 to a creature for each equipment attached to it's pretty good, and the 0 cost can be pretty handy, especially if you're like um, getting the haster, or if you're getting like, cause like sometimes I would get the haste equipment, you'll see later on, and then equipped it to him, and all of a sudden now he's an 8/3 attacking for 4 mana, so it's pretty good. This guy has been awesome in the set because you can return creatures with haste. It can usually finish out the game, and if you're behind, you can use the -X/-X ability. Wipe the board. You lose some life, which is very relevant in the format because it's a very fast format. But um, wiping the board a lot of times one-sided, and you have a 5/3 at the end. I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, there's nothing else to say other than that. These guys were good. Death Touch for 3 mana 2/2 is pretty good, and if it deals combat damage, getting the Venture was awesome. I had two of those. This was the haste equipment. It was just good. It helped out. It worked pretty well with the red white commander guy. But also just to like, I had a lot of 4 drops, and I kind of wanted to like play him with haste if I ever get them on turn 5, and I had a lot of 4 drops, so it worked pretty well. Um, this one was great. Creating a treasure, it ramped you into your 4 drops if you didn't have an extra land, or destroying one of their artifacts. There's a lot of equipment in the set. There's a lot of artifact gargoyles and like treasures as well that people make, and you can get rid of their treasure and get a 2/2 for 3 mana. It was awesome. I already talked about this card. Dragonfire is an awesome removal spell in the format. Even if you don't have dragons, it's awesome. If you do have dragons, it gets better. But 2 mana, deal 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker, killed almost everything in this the entire cube, not cube, but sealed environment. Delver's Torch was awesome. A lot of people underestimated this card, but when I had 2 of these and I was venturing into the dungeon twice a combat, I was making creature tokens. I was doing all sorts of things. I'll show uh, the dungeons after this because these 3 colors were the most like venturing into the dungeon colors you're gonna find. Um, Feign Death was cool. Being able to like unkill one of your creatures was really good as like a surprise 1 mana play. A lot of people don't expect those kind of things because you're like you have 1 mana open. A lot of times you're not playing draft as efficiently or sealed, so you usually don't expect the 1 mana plays as much. So, well, I bet for this it's pretty good, and especially getting the creature back with a 1/1 counter. I've ended games because of it. Delver's Torch again. I had 2 of them. Check for traps was always good. Getting rid of a card from their hand was awesome, and a flash threat was also pretty good. If you can't get an instant or a flash card, it's still just a good 2 mana, get rid of their card, lose a life. Priest of Ancient Lore was probably the most overpowered card in the set in some ways. 3 mana, 2/1 that draws you a card and gains you a life was pretty awesome. It triggers some of the life gain cards there are, and it draws you a card. So I mean that's just awesome, and it was great for equipping because you didn't feel as bad as like equipping to your free card in a way. Um, Baron of Clan Under. I never actually really got to attack with him after I completed a dungeon. Uh, but 4 mana, 3/3 that ventures into the dungeon was always good, and I did have a lot of dungeon triggers, so if I ever did get to attack with him, it would have been awesome. Hobgoblin Captain was awesome. I seen multiple people playing like 3 of these in the deck, and a bunch of 2 mana, 3/1 first strikers can be pretty insane if you can get it to there. Reaper's Talisman was awesome. I had some first strike creatures, like the Hobgoblin Captain. Uh, but also the defending player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life was pretty awesome. Gloomstalker, not as great, but I just had to add extra creature. But a 3 mana 2/3 that can get double strike every once in a while is pretty decent. Portable Hole was a card that a lot of people were kind of naysaying, but in the end it always had a target, and that target was usually pretty valuable. Like an equipment. You can even get rid of a treasure if you just want to be a jerk. Because like sometimes people need that to ramp into their 6 drop, like boss monster or whatever, you know. Perceptuous Drop, I think is what it's called, is was a great card. I liked it. -2/-2 and venturing into the dungeon was awesome, and then eventually -5/-5. So 3 mana -5/-5 was good. Blink Dog was a great target for the equipment. Phasing out worked really well because it didn't get rid of the equipment when it phased out. It didn't uh, blink it, like it didn't like, I guess it did blink it, but um, it didn't really blink out. Like it was on the board, you know? So it never loses its equipment. It just doesn't, it just acts as if it doesn't exist and anything attached to it doesn't exist. You find some prisoners was actually pretty cool. Destroying a artifact was pretty handy. But I usually use the last bit to take a card from the top 3 at the end of their turn. This was great, especially if you're making a bunch of tokens and goblins, but also because it's removal, so it's uh, just a really good card. And then I have some lands, but that was mostly the deck, so it's all just lands. Nothing interesting about that. Uh, but here are the dungeons. So mostly I usually did Lost Mine of Fendelver. Let's see if I can get a good look on it. It's kind of hard to see. Uh, yeah, I think it's the Shine. Oh, yeah, I can't really get like a good look on it, but for the most part, the main thing about this card was just it was good value. You could scry. I usually made a goblin, put a counter, or made an opponent lose a life, and then drawing cards. So you'd usually go to the cave if you wanted, or the mine if you wanted to like continuously draw cards and make goblins. And the goblin worked really well with the equipment because you know you have a 1/1 goblin you can equip, and you don't feel too bad if the equipment gets destroyed and you waste that mana. Or like if the goblin got destroyed because it was just a token. This one was great, but I didn't use it as much as I should have. I think you can kind of see it there. There you go. I didn't use it as much because I kind of wanted the value of the goblins, especially with my equipment. But if you're gonna be an aggro deck, this is really good because you can really hurt your opponent. It'll hurt you as well, but if you're like having lifelink creatures or you're already ahead on board, it's really good, especially with the 4/4 Death Toucher. This one was fine, but it just took so long that you don't really get to it by the time like if you get to the bottom part, you're already really winning, so I didn't see much use in it. Control decks would probably like that more because of the final, like you can get your boss monster out at the end. This is my Blink deck. You can see I have Teleportation Circle, one of the best cards in the set, to be honest. I also got the Deck of Many Things. It worked not as great as I wanted it to. 5 mana. Well, I mean, Teleportation Circle I'll go over first, but blinking all the different cards I had was not as awesome as I thought it would be, but I didn't have as many good targets. In draft, this would work a lot better. Deck of Many Things was nice, but the problem is 5 mana to play and 2 mana to activate, so 7 mana just to possibly get a random card from your graveyard most of the time. It just wasn't really worth it, honestly. Probably should have just picked something else. Loot was good. Just not really good blink target, but good for like when you're killing things. I did get Dungeon Descent. The only problem is I didn't realize you had to have a legendary creature when I first started playing it. I do have a legendary creature in this deck, but it didn't work as well as like the last deck would have with it. This is a legendary creature. Venturing into the dungeon each time you cast a creature was awesome, and getting the 2/2 wolf helped out a lot. I have Vicina was awesome, especially with the blink. It's a great blink target, but it also was great against control decks where you can go into the late game. Venturing into the dungeon on this was awesome. It was good ramp, and also just being able to venture randomly. Iron Golem was cool. Having to block and attack each combat wasn't as bad as it seems because it's a 5/3. It's usually going to remove something or get an attack in. Null Hunter was nice. My deck wasn't aggressive enough to really be able to use it. But when it did get going, I had like 6 or 8 power on board on turn like 4, so it was pretty good. Um, Owlbear was awesome. Drawing a card and a 4/4 Trampler was just pretty ridiculous. I wish I had more of these. The bards were all right. The 2/2 to a creature wasn't really that great. And the gaining 3 life wasn't that great, but it did help save myself from some aggro decks. The first deck I did went 3-1. This one went 2-2, and the last one I'm gonna show went 2-2 as well. You hear something on watch again, good removal, but also good pumping. Uh, Veteran Dungeoneer was a great blink target, kept getting more and more venturing into dungeon triggers. I wish I got the Gargoyle in this deck, it would have worked perfectly. Hill Giant, gaining 3 life for 7/6. It was not terrible, but it wasn't great. Bard again, and then there's Evolving Wilds. So for the most part, there isn't very much mana fixing in this set, and this was very helpful. Priest of Ancient Lore, once again, was really great. Blinking him was awesome, but I accidentally drew too many cards and killed myself. That's how I lost the last game. When a land enters, you gain a life here. To be honest, turning the land into a creature was really great, but I felt like by the time I could put the mana into it, they had so many chump blockers it didn't matter. Turning a non-land permanent into a treasure was awesome here. 2/2 lifelinker, not much to say, but it was good. Worked really well with lurking ropes because it's a 4/5 for 3 mana, and there were so many ways to gain life in this deck. This was always like able to untap and tap and untap. And a fight spell, it was good, but a lot of times they would just try to remove what you're trying to fight with. Sorry, I thought I had to. Bless me. Okay. Well, I thought I had to sneeze, and then I muted my mic to sneeze, and then I unmuted my mic because I didn't think I needed to sneeze, and then I sneezed. This is an awesome non like black, white, or red way to kill something, so I liked it. +3/+3 and has to be blocked was pretty good because a lot of times people would put all this equipment on a creature or get it prepared to be equipped, and the +3/+3 usually got over many bodies, so it didn't. It was a good removal in a way, especially with the trample creatures. I can't really see it, but venturing to the dungeon and ramp was also really good. I liked that. Oh, there we go. And then there's just a bunch of forests and plains at the end. A lot of forests. There was only 6 white cards in that deck, so there wasn't much need. Let me move that um, for it. There's Green Dragon, which was awesome, making all your creatures have Death Touch until end of turn, basically. This is the mono green deck, so I had a red, white, black, and then I had a green, white, and then this is just the mono green. So green, like blue, was a very weak color in this set. I feel there was a couple good cards, but like it was too reactive, and I feel like the black just was so much better as like a control color, especially with the white. You could easily make a black white adventure deck or a red white or a equipment deck. There was just so many better strategies than anything with blue. You can't really see it too well here, but it's just a 4/4 dragon for 6 mana. It gives your creatures death touch until end of turn. Pack leader, my brother got 2 of them. Let's see if we can do this. But how they work is they're 2 mana, 3/3 for 2 green. Whenever you attack with power, oh, there you go. Creatures with 6 powers or greater in total, you draw a card. So usually together they're pretty good because they both have 3 power, they equal 6 when you attack, but it also has an ability for 4 mana to make it a 5/3 with trample, so that works pretty well. Uh, 2 mana 2/1 Death Toucher, that was alright. Deck of Many Things didn't help that much with the with this color, but or well, with this deck, but this deck did need more card draw, but this was too expensive card draw. Layer of the Hydra was a great way to close the game, put all your mana into it, and if they are tapped out, usually just kill them, especially since it's a green land, it worked really well here. Destroying an artifact or enchantment here was great, and then venturing into a dungeon and creating a treasure was also really good for 2 mana. You happen on a Glade, returning the permanent was nice, and then also getting the basic lands was also pretty good for instant. Bard, once again, the pumping was nice, but the life gain was a little better in a lot of sense, just to get rid of the, um, to offset the aggro decks. This also was pretty good at offsetting the aggro decks, but you do need to attack and untap with it. Null Hunter, once again, works really great in this deck compared to the one before, because you're able to get the 6 power so easily. Um, and then another fight spell, good against blue cards, but there wasn't that many good blue creatures to really target with it. Spike Trap was nice. Good removal. This color didn't have a lot of removal, so that and the fight spells were the main way to remove creatures. Getting +2/+2 and trample until end of turn was pretty cool because you get to untap it and defend, but you also get to like get in those last points of damage sometimes, especially on an instant. It's pretty nice. It gives a creature ward, which was awesome, and a little bit of like toughness. Wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And then there was 3 of these. I can see if I can find the other one. Yeah, 3 of these. They're basically like Wayfarer's Bauble, but for like a green creature. They were alright, but it helped him ramp into the better stuff. Once again, Druid class, same thing. Getting to the 5 mana did close out the game sometimes though, so that was pretty good. Um, Creature dies, you put a counter on it, so that was alright, especially with the fight spells and removal. Excuse me. Spoils of the Hunt, once again, it was just a fight spell. There wasn't a lot of treasure to be made in this set. And the +1/+0 wasn't really that crazy with the treasure, and then just because you couldn't really make any in this the color. It was more of like the red, white, and black that kind of made the treasure tokens. The green didn't make it as much. The 4/2 on your turn was kind of cool, but the problem is just a lot of times the 2 toughness got blocked a lot, and it was normally a 2/4, so it was good for blocking and attacking. The fight spell, gaining 3 life, the 7/6 was a good finisher, but like a lot of times they just had too many chump blockers. Um, and then getting this back was alright, but it just wasn't as great, especially with the 2 toughness. So for the most part, those are the decks. I also have some codes for you guys since I'm generous enough. Uh, Try to only use one though, because if you do use these, they hopefully do work. I'll try to get them in focus, but just try to use one because you get 6 packs on the first one and just 1 pack on the second one. I've tried mine, the other ones I had, um, and these ones are unused as far as I know, because I got them from myself. So there's the first code, and then I'll switch over to the second code, and there you go. Have a good day, everyone. Bye. Well, I mean, and I hope you guys had fun also drafting it, and with the set. I liked it a lot. Um, I just feel like blue just didn't do anything in the set for the most part. It wasn't really that good of a color. Like there was a couple of good cards, but like it was too low to the ground, or like it had too many like the blue planeswalker just wasn't that great really. It wasn't a I don't know. I didn't have enough colors, and the reason why my brother made a green deck, a mono green, was because he had so many green cards that the pile of green cards he had was twice as high as any other color. Every other color was very like small compared to it. Um, I mean, I did like the foil of these, and I'm probably actually gonna play this set once standard rotates out because I don't like Throne of Eldraine so much. But I do really like this set. I like the mechanics. The only thing I don't like about mechanics like this is they don't work too well once standard's out of session, and I know like it's supposed to be built for standard, but it's kind of annoying when things have to work together like that, you know? I'm hoping that maybe there's more venture into the dungeon set soon. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.